Everyone, it's Reviews with Ryan. I'm actually outside the theater. I'm about to go see this mystery thriller movie called God's Country. It's directed by Julian Higgins. He's done no other films before. I think he did one show called Guidance, which I've never heard of, and he's done some shorts. So I'm about to go check out this mystery thriller movie, and I thought I would do a little bit of vlog style, going to the theater, and then afterwards I'll let you guys know at the end of the video what I thought about the movie. So let's go into the theater, check it out, and I'll let you guys know at the end of the movie what I thought. Alright guys, so I just got out of the theater, and essentially what God's Country is actually about, you have this woman named Sandra. She is a college professor. She used to live in New Orleans. She was a former police officer, and she lives in the wilderness in Montana. This is where it takes place. She lives with her dog, and essentially she has these hunters that are trespassing on her lawn, and she doesn't take kindly to it. So she tells them to leave and go to another side of the mountain and just leave her alone, basically. So they continue to keep doing this, and essentially she tries to tow their truck, which really pisses them off. There are these redneck guys, and really that's really what the film is essentially about. So the escalation of basically pissing off these rednecks. What can I really say positive about this film? Well, the cinematography in this film is done really well. So it's actually shot in Montana, and it was actually shot at the University of West Montana as well, since she was a professor in this film. And I really did like seeing the mountains in this film. I really did like seeing the different shots with the snow. I really felt like when I was watching this film that I really would love to go to Montana and explore and see this whole seclusion like this film has. This film, it did remind me of a setting of the film Land last year. And you also have a little bit of similar premise where the woman in that film, she was also grieving a loss as well, and she wanted to be alone and not have anybody around. So that did really remind me of that whole setting. But really, the problems that I had with this film, it's a very slow film, and I feel like it introduces elements of bullying. It also introduces this other element of racism. Now, I don't really know why racism is really technically introduced in this film, because I really don't feel like they really touch on the fact that there is this racism. Now, it's mentioned, throughout, that she was a cop in New Orleans, and the tragedy of Hurricane Katrina. And she talks about when she was on the task force, how she felt like the blacks, they didn't really get treated fairly during that storm. Now, I'm not saying that isn't true, but really they introduced this, but don't really do anything more about this racism. I just felt like it took away as being a subplot of the film, but not really being a focus about the film. So there's also another point in this film where they talk about her headmaster named Arthur. So apparently he molests this girl. And they have this subplot as well, but they don't really ever prosecute that or really talk more about it. They introduce it, but really that's not really the focus of the film. The main focus of the film is basically the fact that Sandra, she has irritated these two hillbilly guys, and really for no reason. I really didn't feel like during this film that they really did a whole lot to really technically antagonize her. Now, the first time, or the second time I should say, when she tows their car, that obviously really ticks them off. So they end up shooting an arrow at her door, and that's when she feels really threatened and she contacts the police. Now, I do understand that that would feel very threatening. Now, they do other things in this film that really escalate it, but I really felt the fact that because she towed their car and really ticked them off, that's really what set this film up. I really don't feel like this is a realistic film, And I really think that the choices that Sandra makes in this, I don't really think that a real person would really do. It would be different if these guys were really destroying property or doing other things to really antagonize, but I don't really think that they were really doing too much to really antagonize her throughout this film until she pretty much antagonizes them first. I felt like a lot of the different points that I mentioned, the subplots, I felt like a lot of that was to cover runtime, because it starts off really strong. It starts off like a really mystery, suspense kind of film. And it does feel like there is a lot of other things that these redneckish kind of guys, they have some problems with the police. So there is a mention of one of the guys, his cousin got shot by one of the police. So they have a vendetta against the police and don't like the police. Now it starts off really strong like that, and it has these moments where the woman Sandra, she's getting threatened by these guys, but at the same time, it goes through a really slow process. There is a part where it slows down and it goes to a Christmas party, and she talks to the cop and she talks about her past and she talks about her mother. Now we have those slow down kind of moments, but I felt like the intensity wasn't always there until probably the last, I would say 20-25 minutes, where these hillbilly guys are really starting to antagonize her. And of course, the cop that is involved in this, he's probably the worst cop ever. That's kind of a trope in most of a suspense or even a horror movie. Most of the time, the cops, they're pretty useless for the most part. I felt he was pretty useless throughout this film. And of course, they're in this small town, so he's the only cop available. The only other cop that they had involved in this story, he actually is on administration leave. So this cop is the only one. And really, his character is introduced and he helps Sandra a little bit, and, you know, he's having these conversations with Sandra, but really, he really disappears in the film and we never see him again. Now, the score in this film, I thought it was done pretty well, even though a lot of this film is very quiet. There's a lot of points where there's no dialogue, where you are just being focused on Sandra's character when she's in the house or when she's talking to a dog. So a lot of points you're seeing different things where she's looking at photographs, or she's in the house, or she's chopping wood. And if she's not near these hillbilly guys, or she's talking to the sheriff, there's a lot of quiet moments. So you're really kind of focusing on flashbacks, but really the film can be really quiet at times, and I think the score has to elevate that. And I think at times the score does elevate it at times, but I think also this film, with it being slow and with it really introducing a lot of different ideas, I think that it doesn't really land for me. Now, the ending part, I do understand that this ending, it had to escalate to get to that certain point. And when this ending does happen, I think it was a little bit shocking, but at the same time, not really shocking by what really unfolded in the film. But really, for me, I really didn't really care for this film too much. I was really bored at probably the hour mark. I really didn't know where this film was headed. I thought it had a really strong start, but really as it got towards the middle, it got really dull, and I felt like it was introducing all these different points that didn't really need to be introduced. So I'm gonna give a score of this film a 2 out of 5. I think that if you do want to watch this film, it is available to stream. I believe you can rent it for like 14 or 15 bucks right now. I'm sure it'll go down in price. I personally would not pay full price for this film. It is a slower burn film, like I said, and I did see another film with this actress called All the Old Knives with Chris Pine. I did review that movie, and I wasn't really keen on that too, so I don't know if she really does pretty good work. I think she was in a show called Westworld, I believe, and really that's really all I know about her work. I thought she did pretty good acting in this. All the other characters, as far as their acting, they were a little bit dull for me, but really I don't really have anything else to say about this film. A 2 out of 5 is what I'm going to rate this film. Thank you guys for watching and checking out this vlog as well, and I'll see you guys on my next video.